the tension between LeBron and Russell Westbrook. And it is interesting because LeBron is the one who wanted Westbrook, even though there was evidence that Westbrook might have been finished. And the tricky thing, of course, with Russell Westbrook is that he is exceedingly responsible and he's going to play really, really hard and do all the little things that you want somebody to do. And then he gets on the court and then anything is possible. But Russell Westbrook identified fairly quickly that LeBron James was not his kind of guy. And did the Will Smith moment really did it? Like, for example, Westbrook was a guy who found it weird that LeBron pretended to read these books, right? Like, he's one of the guys that was on that list. But the story being, Will Smith comes to talk to the team. And for whatever reason, Anthony Davis and LeBron did not want to hear Will Smith speak. And so Westbrook is there like, hey, this is what the team does. We're going to do the thing. And then finally has somebody like, yo, y'all got to go get them. They go get LeBron and Anthony Davis. They finally come in. Will Smith gives the message. LeBron's in there asking questions and then afterward talks to the media just glowingly about the time they spent with Will Smith. Meanwhile, Russell Westbrook is seething because it all just feels so phony.
Yep. By the way, it's also the added point is it's 6 months after the slap, right, from Will Smith, which again is what doesn't matter, but I just find it even makes the whole anecdote funnier. Yeah, I think Westbrook was that the. I don't know what moment put him over LeBron, right? But that was certainly. I mean, he told a teammate, "I hate that fake bleep," right? And you could see the picture. You could see a picture of him. I mean, I love it. The Lakers posted a picture on social media of the team with Will Smith, and you could see Westbrook not smiling. And at the time, this got a little pickup, and people just assumed it was Russ being Russ. But Westbrook knew this was off the offseason, that previous summer, or that summer, a few months earlier. Kyrie, that's when the Nets were getting off of Kyrie. LeBron's telling everyone, I want Kyrie. What does that mean? The only way the Lakers can get Kyrie is by trading Russell Westbrook, salary cap wise. Westbrook knows what that means. So LeBron's saying, let Russ be Russ, while saying that. Now, to be fair, I found it really interesting. I'm curious your thought on this. I know you got to get to a break. Like, I find it interesting that people, the idea that LeBron being phony is the reason that the Westbrook experience went poorly in LA, I don't think is necessarily correct. And it's been interesting to see people latch on since the story came out, being like, yeah, Team Russ, get LeBron, get him. LeBron's a phony. Russ is right, which is all true. Russ was responsible for Russ was awful those 2 years. He's been pretty bad since. So yeah.
Yeah, no, the reason it didn't go well is that Russell Westbrook did not play well.
Yeah.
What I did think was interesting and what I took from the book about this is the impression of LeBron that I had always had myself was someone who was a little more conscientious when it came to leadership and the recognition that sometimes you just got to do stuff like this, right? Like the idea that there's a part in the book or an anecdote, for example, about how every year the Lakers go to Nevada and Vegas and they play this game. They do this charity event for veterans, not NBA veterans. They, thank you for your service, veterans. And LeBron never actually got there to the event because Ohio State was playing a September football game.
Yep.
These are not things that I would have expected to have been the case.
The phrase I've sort of landed on, he's a front runner. I think there's a bit of a front runner to him, that when he thinks the team is good and has a legit shot at winning a championship, he can do that leadership. And he's really in, like 2019 in the bubble. There are all these examples, even before the bubble, right? When he thought the team could win. When he doesn't, that's when you see the passive aggressive stuff, not showing up, the sulking. Yeah, I mean, I have all these anecdotes. Coaches saying, the teammates see that when he's upset, or the drop shoulders, all that stuff. So again, it's probably not a great scale, but the kind of front runner is what I've landed on in terms of how to describe him a little bit.
What has been interesting to me about this, and I'm curious your read, and I've said this for a while, is that LeBron was in a little bit of a trickier situation going there than I think he realized, is that much of his career in the eyes of basketball fans, he has been positioned opposite of Kobe Bryant. And so for Kobe's entire career, he was opposite of everybody in a way that he didn't really get to be on the positive side of one of those things until he was an elder statesman. But are you a LeBron guy or a Kobe guy? Extended for a long time, and he showed up to play for a franchise with a fan base and a front office full of Kobe stands, right? Like that, if you love the Lakers, you love Kobe. He was their guy, and they have been kind of hating on you for all of this time. And now he jumps into this team, and you don't get the feeling, like he has the same affection for being a Laker that Kobe had, for example. This felt more transactional for him. And that seems to be kind of a consistent theme through the book about his time there.
I think you nailed it. I completely agree. I've heard you talk about this, right? That to your point, it's Kobe versus LeBron. And anytime you argue about two guys, what do you end up doing? You end up arguing against the guy, right? As opposed to for your guy. And to your point, that just meant that Lakers fans who are Kobe obsessed, Kobe stands a perfect word, are spending all this time before LeBron gets there arguing against LeBron. And it's not even just in terms of on court, like their mentalities are completely different. And Kobe was confused. I have this in the book. Kobe was confused by LeBron. Just on the court, Kobe's going to shoot over four guys, right? Last shot, LeBron's going to pass the open man. Kobe would never be friends with guys on other teams. LeBron obviously is. Kobe wasn't into the off-court businesses until after he retired. LeBron, that's something he's setting up since he was 24. Like, they were just very different. Kobe was aware they were pitted against each other. That bothered him. So then LeBron is then the enemy. Kobe fans pick that up. And all of a sudden, you're dropping this guy who's the enemy into the city and just saying, oh, now love him. And it was all, I mean, remember there were murals defaced? Like, it was really weird. I don't think LeBron certainly was not ready for that. Did not expect it. It's the Lakers might be the only franchise in the NBA where LeBron would join and he's not immediately embraced as the savior. There's no other franchise where that'd be the case.
Yeah, and this gets us through like the post-championship part. Like, to me, it almost feels a bit like a blur in real life. Like, it's now it'll be 6 years. Wow, right? I guess in November. I guess that's whenever the hell they actually wrap that up in the bubble. But it'll be 6 seasons at the end of this year since that took place. One thing that did happen in between, I think, is the biggest thing that jumps out for people is LeBron broke the scoring record, which, again, weird vibes on that one. In part, as you talk about, he's had cameras following him around for years now. That was a made-for-television event. I'm going to break the scoring record tonight, and I'm going to go so hard on it, I'm going to injure myself, and I'm not going to play again for weeks, which honestly did not get discussed that much. But that's kind of the high point of this partnership that they've had. They made the conference finals that year. We move on and then go a couple years, and you wake up one morning and Luka Doncic is now being traded to the Lakers without this being run by LeBron James, at least as far as we could tell. They, like, in your reporting, did it seem at all as though Clutch was in on this, or did they find out when we did?
No, I could tell you. I mean, we'll get to the group chat. So I live in New York. The Luka trade happens. The Lakers are in New York that night. So I'm going to the game at the Garden. After the game, what happens, what people don't know, the Lakers usually play the Knicks on a Saturday night. All family, friends, agents, everyone comes. The hallways are filled with everyone. After the game, Rich Paul is hanging out in the hallway. So Savannah James, other Clutch people, laughing, talking to reporters. Very much not an agent who's aware that this seismic deal is going to happen, or he's the greatest actor ever, right? But there would be, or malpractice because he's not on his phone. Trade happens, and then actually in the book we have the group chat, right? So the Shams tweet goes through, I don't know, let's say it's midnight Eastern or whatever, and the way it goes down is Bronny takes the Shams tweet, puts it in the Lakers players group chat, asks, is this real? Anthony Davis goes, did these blank words just trade me? LeBron writes WTF in an emoji, and Anthony Davis says, good luck, fellas, and leave the chat. Now, to be clear, like, I don't know, it's a little unclear where Rob Pelinka called Anthony Davis. Like, he might have found out, been on a speakerphone while this chat's going on. I don't know. So I don't know if he literally found out from the Bronny tweet, but we're talking about a 5-minute window here, right? So yeah, no, they very much were not involved. And the pivot started with the JJ Redick hiring. It's one of the most interesting and funny press conferences to look back on in hindsight is when JJ Redick is hired and Rob Pelinka is talking about it's a new salary cap. We need to do player development. We need to lean into this new approach. They're talking about a player development app that they're going to build, which I guess never happened. I don't know. But like, they're no longer the Lakers. They sound like the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? They're just a whole different team. Very much pivoting away. You could tell they're pivoting away from LeBron. Luka falls into their lap. Suddenly they're all about superstars again, right? But Clutch, like, they started pivoting away from LeBron and Clutch around whatever that was, 2024, whatever the year that was.
So the idea that JJ's a pivot is interesting because, to the lay person, JJ was a LeBron move.
Yeah, I know. Everyone thinks that, and it's just not, I don't think it's true. I mean, I talk to people Jason Gallagher told me this. He was a producer from
Yes.
produces the show Mind the Game. The way he described it is like he never heard them talk about it, and he even said to me, "We have mics on them even when." I guess he could be lying, right? But I don't think he is. He's like, "We had mics on them even when they're not on air." And that whole those 4 months when we all kind of the Lakers looking for a coach and are doing the podcast. He's like, I asked my guys in the room, like, do you ever hear anything like this? And they said, no, never heard them discussing it. So, I mean, LeBron wasn't in the loop. He was not in the loop. And Clutch was annoyed about not being in the loop on the coaching search. Like, they were not part of it. It was the most interesting part to me, and it kind of speaks to the lack of trust between the two sides and where they ended up, is there were Clutch people who thought that like Pelinka and the Lakers were 4D chessing the Redick hire, that, oh, we're going to hire him. And if it doesn't go well, people will assume that's LeBron wanted that guy and it's on him. And like whether it's true or not is irrelevant. It's the idea that this is how they're thinking. This is like how one side thinks the other side is approaching this big decision.
So this consistent lack of trust, which is, a theme throughout this relationship. I'm curious what the people with whom you spoke felt about this, because I mean, this is a league, generally speaking, where especially a superstar like LeBron, like you're going to embrace that person, right? Like that's the guy that runs this. But these are the 3 franchises that LeBron has played for, and that trust has not existed with any of those franchises.
Interesting.
I don't know exactly what I'm going for here, but like I don't blame him for not trusting the Cavs and Dan Gilbert, especially like the second time. But that one made sense, and maybe it's almost like a PTSD for him because he had no trust in what was going on with Miami, and Miami was like, he's going to love us, we're not them, and then he chucked the deuce on them, and they couldn't believe that. And then with the Lakers, I think is LeBron. That his I'm a businessman outlook, does it kind of make it impossible for there to be that kind of relationship between the sides?
It's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that. You're probably right. And it's just, I think in the NBA, it is all businesses, but the NBA, it's just a lot of fighting over who gets the credit and who gets the narrative, right? And a lot of fighting over narratives as I'm thinking this out loud. I think that might be the answer, right? A lot of fighting over the narrative, and LeBron, the narrative follows him. And I think you see sort of this idea that like, we don't want him getting the credit. And I don't think it's necessarily an active decision, right? Like, I don't think Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, especially at the beginning, are necessarily being like, yeah, we want LeBron here. And, but we're going to say, we don't want him to get any credit. If we win, we want to make sure we get the credit. It's not like that. It's sort of a small little by little. I imagine some of it is how stories get covered, where LeBron is really good. Him and his media team are really good at getting their side of things out there and how getting the perspective of things. And I was going to work it, making sure media here, they talk to the right media and they know people, they're in touch with the people they need to be in touch with about helping put a narrative out there. And I would imagine that if you're on the other side of that, that can be frustrating.